Hello everyone. This is part 58 of our playlist Full Stack Python. Okay, so this is a training course. This is a training course. In this training course, we are learning programs in depth, as well as we are learning theory in depth. Okay, and also we will solve hacker rank problems throughout this journey. Hacker rank problems, as well as we will create projects. We will create projects as well. Okay, also we will upload our projects on GitHub. We will upload our project on GitHub repository. After uploading projects on GitHub repository, we will mention repository link on our CV. So whenever you will send your CV to your HR, so HR can see your project work. All right, this much work we will do throughout this journey. I hope you are getting. All right, everyone. So this is what? This is a training course. It is not just a video. Okay. This is a training course. That's why we are learning theory in depth as well as programming in depth. All right. So in this video, we are going to learn about default parameters or argument. Default parameters or argument, optional argument. Default parameters are known as optional arguments. All right. See, default parameters are given values at the time of defining function. If values are not given at the time of invoking function, PBM assign default values. Okay, so what is the mean of this? For example, for example, if I define the function like def, okay, like uh def like demo. Okay, demo. Demo is the function name. If I say here a, okay, and if I print a here, all right. So this is demo function. So how can I call this function? I will write here demo. I will write here demo. Okay. So can I call this function without passing input? Can I call this function without passing input? Can I call this function without passing input? No, we cannot call this function because there is a parameter. If it is a parameter, then we have to pass some value to this parameter. If receiver is there, then we should send the value, then only it will execute. Okay, so what is the mean of default parameter? What's the mean of default parameter? Default parameter says if you will not give any input while execution of the program, then also your program will execute. Like here, how many parameters are required? One parameter. Okay, so whenever we call this one parameter, we will send. So if we make a default parameter, if we make this argument as a default parameter, like if a equals to, if I say 10, a equals to 10, so then I can call this function without giving parameters, because it will accept default parameter as 10. It will accept default parameter as 10. So if you will send input, it can also receive the input. Like now this time this function will take, this a argument will take 20 value, but if you will not pass the value, so it will take by default which value? 10, which is the default value of this parameter. I hope you are getting. Okay, let me write the code so that you can easily understand what is the mean of default argument. For example, we have a function like def. Okay, def is a keyword, and here I'm writing function name, which is demo, and here is parameter. Okay, this is a parameter, or you can say this is required parameter. Like whenever you call this function, you need to pass input. That's why this parameter is known as required parameter. Okay, so for example, if I print here a, okay, so when you define this function, then you need to call the function. Okay, then you need to call the function or invoke the function. How you can invoke the function or call the function? Just write the function name. Okay, can you call this function without passing argument? Without passing argument, can you call this function? No, you cannot. You cannot call this function because this function is what type? This parameter is what type? Required type, required parameter. So if you call like this, so if you run this code, so what will happen? Error will come. What error? Type error will come. So always you have to pass some input. Okay, so if you run this code now, so now no error will come. Okay, like if you want, I don't want to pass parameters, I don't want to pass input while the calling of the function, then what you will do, you will make this parameter as default, like 10, a equals to 10. So now this time you can call this function without passing any value, without passing any value. What we are doing here, we are calling function, we are calling function, and this is known as, this is known as function definition, and this parameter is what type? Default parameter. Okay, or you can say argument. Argument. Default parameter or default argument. Okay. So now when you call this function, when you call this function, no error will come. It will take default value as 10 from here. From here it will take 10 value. We are not sending. If you will send some value at the time of calling of the function, then what will happen? For example, if you are sending 120 value you are sending, so what will happen? Now a value replace with 120. Okay, instead of 10, 120 will come. Instead of 10, 120 will come. Okay, if I call this function, so it's working fine. Okay, so this 10 replace with 120. Okay, replace with 120. Okay, this parameter is known as default parameter, or we can say default argument. Why we are passing default argument? So that we can call the function without passing input, or we can call the function by passing input as well. If you will not pass the input, it will take default a value. If you will pass the input while the calling of the function, it will replace a value. It will replace a value, and it will convert, it will replace by 120. Okay, I hope you are getting. All right, let me erase this. Okay, see the syntax. See the syntax. First, we will write def keyword. Okay, in order to define the function. Then we will write function name. Okay, and then we will write the parameter name, and we will write default value. We will write parameter name as well as we will write default value of the parameter. Okay, then we will write statement 1. Then we will write statement 2. Okay, for example, we have this function fun1, and default parameter is what? 100. Okay, default parameter is what? A equals to 100, and we are printing a. So if we will not pass any input, it will take default value. What is the default value? 100. Okay, whenever you will pass the input like 200 while calling the function, so it will replace 100 by 200. It will replace 100 by 200. So this time it will print what? It will print 100, and here it will print 200. Okay, because here we are not passing any value, so it will take 100, and we are passing 200, so it will replace by 200. So what's the output? Output is 100, and second output is 200. All right. Okay, see, for example, we have a function, what's the name of the function? Function name is draw line. Okay, let me tell you one thing, there are two types of function. If we talk about function, if we talk about functions, so there are two types of function. Like one is predefined, okay, and one is user defined, user defined function, user defined function, or you can say programmer defined function. So what is the predefined function? Like predefined function is like what? Max is what? Predefined function. And for example, user defined function is whatever function we will define using that keyword, known as what? User defined function. For example, this is draw line. Draw line is what? User defined function, because we are giving the definition to this function. Okay, we are giving what? Definition to this function. For example, user defined function name is draw line. Draw line is a user defined function, and this is predefined, this is user defined. Predefined function already, like predefined functions declaration already available in header file, or we can say, and the code of the predefined function available in library file. Okay, the code is already available here, and user defined function we need to write the code. Okay, All right. Let's see this example. Okay. For example, we have a function, draw line function. We have how many arguments is there? There are two argument. One is ch and second one is length. Okay. Is this default argument or not? Please tell me, is this default argument or not? For example, if I'm creating function like def fun, okay, fun, okay, a and b. So this is what this parameters are known as required parameter. What are they? Required parameter. These a and b are what? Required parameter. And then what is the default parameter? For example, if I write def, okay, fun, and if I write a equals to 100 and b equals to 200. So this is what? This is default parameters, or you can say default argument. Okay, because we are defining value of this argument at the time of creating the function. So this is known as default argument or default parameter. All right. So then what we are doing, we are writing a loop like for loop I in range and length. Okay, we are getting length. Okay, whenever user will not pass the length while the calling, for example, here we are not passing any length and any character, so it will take default character and default length. And here we are passing what? Character. So it will take default character like dollar, but it will replace the character by dollar symbol, and it will take default length as 40. And here what we are doing, we are calling the function draw line, and we are passing the length. So it will take, this time it will take default character. What is the default character? This one asterisk symbol, and it will modify the length. What is the new length? Is 20, because we are passing length here. We are passing length here. See here, in this, while we are calling this function, we are passing character, as well as we are passing what? We are passing length, as well as we are passing length. So character, it will convert, it will replace character by this cap symbol. And what is the length? Length replaced by 50. Correct? Okay, let me write the code so that you can easily understand. Okay. So how we can create the function of draw line? First we will write def keyword. Then we will write the function name. Function name is what? User defined function. Okay, user defined function name is, it should what? Identifier. And identifier cannot be keyword. All right. So here we will write draw line. Draw line is what? Identifier, or we can say function name. And here we will give, first one is, two parameters are there. Two parameters. One is ch and second is length. Okay. These are the default parameters or not? These are the default parameters or not? No, this is not the default parameter. Then what type of parameters are they? They are the required parameter. Required parameters means whenever you will call this draw line function, always you will pass the input. Then what is the use of default parameters? Like default, when you make this parameter as default, like ch equals to asterisk symbol, okay, and length equals to 40. Now these both parameters are known as default parameter. For example, whenever you call this function, and if you will not pass any kind of value, if you will not pass the value while calling this function, it will automatically will take default value. What is the default value of ch? Asterisk. And what is the default value of length? 40. Okay, so this is the mean. Required parameters mean you always pass the value while calling the function. And what's the mean of default parameter? No need to pass value while calling the function. If you will pass the value, it will replace. It will replace by new value. Okay. Then I will write for loop and I in range. Okay. Here I is what? Okay. For is what? For is a keyword. I is what? I is a variable. Okay, user defined variable, you can say. In is what? Membership operator. And range is what? Range is a data type. And what we are giving here, we are giving, what we are giving, we are giving length, length, length. Okay, now what we are doing here, what we are doing here, we will print what? We will print I. Okay, and end with space. Okay, so this is what? Function definition. And all right. Okay, now I will call this function. So how can I call? I will write the function name, which is draw. Draw line is a function name. Can I call this function without passing input? Yes, I can call this function without passing input because we have default argument. That's why we can call this function, no issue. Okay, so when I run this code, when I will run this code, so what will happen? Okay, this value is coming, but instead of this values, what we want character. We want character. All right. So what we will do, instead of I, what we will print? We will print ch, because ch containing what? Character here. Ch containing what? Character here. All right. So when I run this code, so what will happen? Now character will print. Okay. So this is taking default parameters. So can you pass the parameter? Can you pass the parameter, or can you replace the parameter? Yes, we can replace the parameter. Like we will give the character like this symbol, and we will we, okay, we are just passing the character, so it will replace this character by and symbol, and length would be default. Length is default. We are not changing the length. Okay, when I run this code, so it is printing like this. Okay, so it's taking. Okay, we have to write like this. Ch equals to, we will write here ch equals to, then let me run this code. Okay, again both are printing y. Okay, let me check. Okay, let me change the line so that we can see the output in new line. Okay, when we write print here, only print, empty print, if we will write, automatically it will change the line. Okay, if I run this code, so what will happen this time? It's printing what? Dollar symbol. Okay, can I pass only length? Yes, I can replace the length as well. So how you can? First you will call this function, then what you will do, you will write length. Okay, length is what? For example, I'm giving length is 5. Okay, so it will take default character, which is asterisk, and it will replace length. Replace 40 by 5. So instead of 40, the length become 5. Okay, when I run this code, so what's the length? Fifth. Fifth, how many stars? 5 star, it will print. Okay, can I replace star and length at once while calling the function? Yes, we can change the character as well as we can change the length. Okay, so how? First you will give character. Character is what? Like any character you can give. For example, at the rate. And length is what? Length. Okay, length is like 200. All right, so this asterisk symbol will change by, this asterisk symbol change by at the rate, and this length will replace by 200. Correct? If I run this code, so what will happen? It will print like this. Okay, what's the length? 200. 200 character it will print. Hope you are getting, everyone. Okay, if you have any doubt, or if you want to give any suggestion, you can comment. You can comment your suggestion. You can comment your doubt. Okay, all right. All right. See this example. Here we are creating a function to sort the data. Okay. We are creating a function to sort the data. All right. Here, how many argument is there? How many arguments? Two arguments are there. So A is what type argument? A is what type? A is required argument. And reversed is what type? Default argument. Default argument or default parameters. Okay, because reverse equals to false is the default value of reversed parameter. Okay, then what we are doing, so whenever we call this function, whenever we will call the short data function, so what we need to pass one value at least. We need to pass a value at least, because a is what type? Required parameter, and received second parameter is not required, because this is default parameter. If you want to pass the value, then it will replace the second value. Okay, for example, what we are doing, we are creating a list. Okay, just wait. So what we are doing, we are creating a list. Okay, then we are printing the list, and then we are calling the function. What we are calling? We are calling function. What is the function name? Sort data function. And we are passing what? List. So whenever you will pass the list, so list object will come. Sorry, list reference will go. Okay, list reference will go, not the list value. Reference will pass. Okay, this reference passed to A. Passed to A. All right, and we are not passing the second value because second value is what? Default. It will take default, means false. If reverse value is false, so it will not reverse. It will sort the data in what order? Ascending order. Okay, ascending order. It will sort the data. If reverse value is what? True, it means it will sort the data in ascending order. Otherwise, it will send the data in what? Descending order. Okay, like for example, see, for example, we have list. These elements are there in list. So what is the ascending order? Ascending order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what is the descending order? Descending order is 5, sorry, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like that, we want to sort the data. So what we are doing, first we create the list. Okay, then we print the list, then we calling the function. What is the function? Sort data function. So this list will reach where? This list will reach. Okay, this. Okay, see. So this list will pass here on A. Okay, okay, let me write the code so that you can easily understand. Let me write the code. Okay, you can also practice this code. Okay, I will give the link in the description. You can download this presentation from the description and you can practice by your own. Then only you can get more understanding on this functions. All right, so let me write the code. So first we will create the function. First we will create the function. What's the function name? Okay, in order to create the function, first you will use def keyword, then you will write the function name, which is sort, and here you will write sort data is the function name. A is what? Required argument. A is what? Required argument. This is not the default argument, but required argument. And we have reversed equals to false. Where the moment we are using equals to false, so what is the mean? The second parameter is what type? Default parameter. First is required and second one is default parameter. Okay. Then we will write the definition of this function. We will write the definition of this function. So we will check if reverse. Okay, if reverse. Okay, let me write the correct spelling. If reverse is true, means we are giving true value while the calling of the function. If we are not giving any value for the second parameter, then it will take default. Default is false. When it will take false value, so it will not execute. Suppose this reversed value is true, so what will happen? We will write a loop for I in range. Okay, then we will calculate the length of list. A will take argument, which is list type. So we will calculate the length of the list, and then we will write what? We will write inner loop. We will write inner loop, which is nothing but nested loop. And here we will write j in range. Okay, and length is a minus 1. Okay, length 1. Okay, length minus 1. And then we will check if a of j a if a of j is less than, means first element of list is less than the second element of list, then what we will do, we will write like this. We will do swapping. J plus 1 equals to a j plus 1 comma a and j. Correct. And if reverse value is false, if reverse is value is false, then what we will do? So it will come to the else part. Okay, else And what we are doing here, for I in range, we are writing logic for reverse the reverse like descending order. We will sort the data in what? Descending order. Okay, length. We will take a length. Then we will write inner loop j in range, and we will say length of a minus 1. Okay, correct. And then we will write if a of j means the first element is greater than second element. If first element is greater than the second element, then what we will do? We will swap the values, swap the elements, like a of j comma a plus 1. Okay, we already understand about this logic. We already discussed this logic in what? Previous videos. All right. So a of j plus 1 comma, okay, square bracket, then a of j. Correct. All right. So this function is completed. This function definition is completed. Function definition is completed. Now we will invoke this function, or we can call this function. So first we will create a list. List 1 equals to what? 5, 2, 6, 3, 1, and 4. Okay, these are the element of the list. Then what we will do? We will write a message using fstring before sorting list. Okay, is then we are printing list 1. Okay, now what we will do? We will sort the list. We will write sort data. We are calling the function, and we are passing list. Okay, we are passing list reference to this object. So we are passing one argument, so a will take data argument. Okay, and reverse value would be default, means false. Then what we will do? We will write here print using fstring. We will say after sorting in ascending order. Okay, then we will write here list 1. Correct. Now we will say sort data. We are calling this function. Now we are passing list 1, as well as we are passing reversed value equals to true. We are passing second element as well. So second argument is what type? Default. So now this time reverse value replaced by true. So this false replaced by true, because we are passing both value, required argument value as well as default argument value. We are passing two values by calling the function. Okay, now we will write the message. Okay, what's the message? We will write here print f string after, okay, sorting sorting in descending order. After sorting in descending order list 1. Okay, if I run this code, so what will happen? This function will execute. Okay, so for example, here we have this list. So this list is printing before sorting. Okay, we sort in ascending order. So what is our data now? 1 2 3 4 5 6, and we are sorting in descending order. So what is our data? 6 5 4 3 2 1. Like this we can sort. Everyone please download this presentation and practice this code, so that you can increase your confidence in programming. Okay, practice is the only way to improve your confidence in programming. Otherwise, programming will feel you difficult. If you practice, so you can easily crack the logic of any hard program. Okay, now see this. Python does not support pass by value. Python does not support pass by value. It support only pass by reference. So what is the mean of this? For example, we have a function def. Okay, and we have this function like fun. Fun is a function, fun1, and we have a here. Okay, Okay, now if we will call this function, for example, we have list one equals to 10, 20, 30. Okay, 10, 20, 30. So whenever we call this function, we call this function like fun1. So whenever you pass this list in this function like list1, so what we are saying here, so Python does not support what? Pass by value. So always list reference will go here. List reference will go here. What is the mean of reference? For example, you created this list. Okay, so this list reference means it will take some memory. Okay, for example, this block name is list1. Okay, so it contains some address like thousand address. So this variable will refer thousand address. Okay, so this reference will pass here. Correct. Correct. For example, we are creating variable a equals to 100. Okay, and in memory what will happen? In memory, a will a will take some block of memory, and this is the name of this block is a, and what is the address like 1000, and what is the value inside this like 100. Okay, so this one is known as reference or address. This is value, and this is what? This is variable name. Okay, so what we are saying here, whenever in Python, whenever we pass the input, we pass the reference. We don't pass the value in the function. We pass what? The reference. So for example, we are passing here, here is the list. Here is what? Okay, here is the list. So we are calling fun1. So we are passing list address, not the list value. We are not passing the list value. Instead of this, we are passing list reference. Okay, let me clean this. Okay, hope you are getting. If you have any issue or any doubt, you can simply comment me. Okay, I will try to solve your queries. Okay, so see this. Whenever function is called by sending object, PVM does not send object. PVM does not send object. It send reference, or we can say address. PVM send address or reference. Okay. For example, we have this fun1, and what we are doing here, a0 equals to 99. A0 equals to 99. And what we are doing, a dot append 100. A dot append 100. And we have another function. Okay. And we are calling this function fun2. All right. So in this fun2 function, we have list1, and we are printing before calling this function, we are printing the list. And again, we are calling this function, and after calling this function, list is printing. Okay, let me write the code so that you can easily understand this example. Okay, so for example, we have a function. What type of function it is? User defined function. Okay, user defined function. And a is what? A is what? Parameter. If I ask you what type of parameter it is it default parameter, or it is like required parameter? So you will say this is required parameter. Okay, so here I am saying what? A of 0 equals to 99. If a of 0 equals to 99. Okay, for example, if I am writing like this, so a should what? List. A should what? List. Then only I can access the position of the list, like a of 0 equals to 99. Then what we are doing here, a dot append. Append is function. Append is method. We are appending 100 in last. Okay, list is what type? List is mutable. Sorry, list is what? Mutable. Mutable means we can perform changes on list. And we have another function which is def function2. Function2 we have, and here how many argument is there? There is no argument in this function. There is no parameter. Okay, now we are creating list1, and list1 have some element like 10, 20, and 30. 10, 20, and 30. Now what we are doing, we are writing a message here like using f string before calling before calling function. and we are printing list one. Okay, why we use f string? We are using f string so that we can display the message as well as content of the list in a single line. That's why we are using what? Using f string. And now I will call function one. What is function one? This is function one. Whenever you will call this function one, always you will pass input, because a is, this parameter is what type? Required parameter. So input is required whenever you will call this function. So what I am passing here, I am passing list one, because list one is there and we are passing list one. So list one address will pass, not the value, or we can say list one reference will pass here in function one. In function one, list one reference will pass. Correct? Now what we are doing now, we will print. We will write the message again, print using f string after calling function. And what we are doing, list one. We are printing the list one content after calling the function. Okay, now we will call f2. F2. Is there any function? Is there any parameter in F2 function? There is no parameters in F2 function. So we can call this function without passing any parameters, or we can say argument. So we are calling F2. And F2 function is calling what? F1. Is F1 function required input? Yes, F1 function is required input. That's why we are passing what we are passing in F1. We are passing list here. Okay. So when I call this function, when I run this function, what will happen? So before calling the function, we have this data. Okay, 10 original data we have 10, 20, and 30. Like before calling the function, it is printing. Okay, when we called this function f1, when we call this function f1, so what will happen? Zeroth position. What's the zeroth position? Like this is a 10 is a zeroth position. Instead of 0, 10, what should it should replace by 99. So it is replaced by 99. After calling the function, the first position element is first position element replaced by 99, and then what we are doing, we are appending what? We are appending 100. So whenever we use append method, the value append in what? Append in last. So 100 appended in last. Okay, so hope you are getting this code, hope you are understanding this code. Still, you if you have some doubt or any issue while understanding the code, you can simply comment your doubt. You can simply comment your doubt. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, see, we have another function. Try to understand everyone, and please try to execute each function, each code. Okay, and whatever code you write, please comment your code. Okay, so that I can see your effort. I can see your effort and your logics. Okay, so always comment your code in the comment section of this video. All right, everyone. Okay, so we have another function which is simple interest. Okay, how many arguments are there? There are three arguments or three parameters. One is amount, the second one is t is for time, and rate, r is for rate. Okay, if I ask you how many required parameters are there, how many required parameters are there? So you will say two required parameters. What are they? Amount and time. And what is the how many default parameters are there? How many default parameter are there? You will say one default parameter is there, which is the rate. Okay, so whenever you will call this function, at least you need to pass two argument, two values, two input, because two inputs is what type? Required type. If you will pass the three input, so it is okay. If you will not pass the third argument, so it is also okay. Hope you are getting. Okay, see, then what we are doing, we are calculating simple interest. So we will multiply amount, time, and rate and divide by 100. And we will store in SI variable. SI means simple interest. And we are returning what? SI. We are returning what? Simple interest. And then we are calling function. So whenever you call this function, how many arguments you need to pass? At least two arguments. Like one is 5000 and second one is 12. So 5000 will go here and 12 will go here. Okay, and rate will take the third argument, take default argument, which is 1.5. Okay, so it will return what? It will return simple interest, and simple interest store here. Okay, this function return what? Simple interest, and it will store in result one. Okay, again so what we are doing, we are printing the message simple interest is this one, and 2f means we need two precision, we need 2 point value like 0.25, we need two values. if i say if I say 3f, so it will take three value like three values like. Okay, okay, again we are calling this function, we are calling again this function, and this time we are passing how many arguments? Three arguments we are passing. So 1.5 replaced by 2.2.2.5. So instead of 1.5, 2.5 will come. Okay. So this is how, and then this result will print. Okay, what's the result of this line printing this result, and this line print will print this result. Okay, guys, you need to practice the code. Okay, all right. For example, we have another argument. Sorry, we have another example. Okay, what is the function? F1 is a function which is user defined function. So how many argument is there? There are two arguments there. Okay, one is default argument, and second is required argument, and we are printing a and b. Okay, whenever you will call this function, so you will pass value of at least one value you will pass. So remember one thing, note one thing, everyone, please note one thing, like whenever you creating a function, whenever you are creating the function, and if your function have two arguments like this, so first parameter should not be default, first parameter must not be default, it should be required, and second can be default or required, but first not be default or required. For example, see by example. So for example, I am creating the function fun1, and I have two parameters. One is a and second is b. For example, if I make the first parameter as a default like 10, okay, and if I print a and if I print b, okay, and if I call this function, how can I call this function? I will write the function name and I will pass one argument. If I if I pass the one argument, so what will happen? What will happen? The first argument, so this, for example, if I pass here 30, so understand everyone, please. Okay, so this 30 replaced by 10 replaced by 30, but where is the argument for b? There is no argument for b, so that's why we cannot make first argument as the default. If you want to make the default argument, so you will create both argument as default, like fun1 def keyword is there, fun1, then you will write a equals to 10 and b equals to 100. So this is fine, this is fine, but it will give error if you will write like this, def fun1, if you will write like this, a equals to 10 and b required. So this is not correct way, this is not correct way. First argument cannot be default. If both arguments are default, then it's okay, but first argument is default, second is required, it is not possible. Okay, whenever you will pass the value like 30, so it will replace this value, but we will never get the value, so it will get error, it will show the error. For example, if I run this code, so error will come. If I run this code, so what's the error? Okay, without, okay, syntax error is there, parameter without a default follows parameter with a default. Okay, so it is not possible. For example, if I say a and b is default, a is what type? A is required type and b is default type. So 30 will send to a and b already have default value, so now it is possible, now it is possible. Okay, 10 is sorry, what is printing? 30 and 10 is printing. A value is what? 30 and b value is what? 10. Okay, you can pass both argument as well. One equals to 10 and 20, like this. You can call this function. So 10 and 20 is printing. Okay, this b this be replaced by 20. Correct? Okay. So please try to understand here. Okay. When function is defined with required and default parameters, first parameter must be required and followed by default. First parameter should what? Default and followed by first parameter should what? Required. Okay. First parameter is what? Required and followed by default. Means first parameter should be default and other parameters can be, sorry, what I'm saying wrong. First parameter should be required and other can be default. First should be required and other can be default. Okay, I hope you are getting now. Function with variable length arguments or parameter. Function with variable length argument receives 0 or more values. Variable length argument is prefixed with asterisk. Va- Variable length argument is of type what? Tuple. If function required more than one value to perform operation, it is defined with variable length, argument or parameter. Okay, function with variable length, argument or parameter. What is the mean of variable length? Okay, for example, see this example. For example, we have function 1, okay, and we are writing what is the this argument. For example, you are writing asterisk a. So this is what variable length argument. Variable length argument means, for example, if you are writing function like fun one a and b, so how many arguments you can pass by the calling this function? Whenever you will call this function, how many arguments you can pass? You can pass only two arguments. Two arguments, two input you can pass. Can you pass more than two inputs? No, you cannot pass more than two input. For example, if you are calling this function and you are passing input like 1 2 3, is it possible? No, it is not possible. You can only pass two argument. For example, whenever you create your function, if you give argument as a variable length, so you can accept more than one argument. For example, see this fun1. Okay, for example, if I write a asterisk, okay, let me write it properly. What I'm saying, asterisk a. So now this time, whenever you call this function, you can pass more than one values like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can send more than one value. Okay, and this values will receive by a variable length argument, by the variable length argument. So asterisk a this asterisk a receive what? This asterisk a receive what? Tuple. It receive tuple. It receive what? Tuple. Variable length argument is what type? Tuple type. Okay, for example, when we are calling this function, when we are calling this function, we can pass the input or we cannot pass the input. It's up to user. Okay, if we are passing input, it can take 10 here. If you are passing more than one value, it can take more than one value. If you are passing like more than one value, which is like this one is integer type and string type, so it can receive other type values. If I check the type of this variable, so what is the type of this argument? This is what type? Tuple type. And if I print this tuple, so it will print. Okay, for example, let me write the code so that you can easily understand. Okay, for example, def is a keyword, and if I'm writing here fun1 and I'm writing variable length argument, okay, and I want to check first what is the type of this variable length argument, and then I will print the data. So can I call this function without passing input? Yes, I can call this function without passing any input, because this function is what type? This parameter is what type? Variable length argument type. Okay, fun2. I can pass the values like 100 I can pass, or any value we can pass. Like fun1, 100, 200, 300, 400. Okay, like that we can pass. And this value received by this variable length argument. Okay, we can pass. Okay, whenever we call this function, this value received by this asterisk a. And what's the type of this? This is tuple type, and this will print data as a tuple. So if I run this code, So what will happen? So this is what when we are calling first time. So it is empty tuple. What is the type? Empty type. Okay. Class is what type? Tuple type. And what is this? We are passing value. Value is what? Like 100 we are sending. So it will receive 100. And what's the type of 100? Tuple. What is the type? Tuple. And we are printing. Okay. What is the type? Tuple, and we are printing here 100. Like, and we are passing more than one values. So this is what type? Tuple type. This is what type? Tuple type. Correct? Hope you are getting. Okay. See this example now. See this example. Okay, we have add function, and what we are doing, s equals to 0 for value in values. Okay, values is what type? Values is what? A parameter which is variable length argument. Okay, and this act as a tuple. Okay, so we are saying here value in iterable, which is tuple, and what we are doing, we are adding each tuple, and in last we are returning sum of each value of the tuple. So whenever we call this function, so any number of argument we pass. This time we are passing two 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 arguments. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. And this time we are passing how many arguments? More than one argument. And here we are printing what? Result. We are printing result, and result 2 we are printing here. Okay, so what's the output? Sum of two numbers is 30. 10 and 20 is 30. And what is the sum of these values is 150. Okay, like this. Okay. So we have another program. This is maximum function. This is also same. You can practice this code. All right. So you can practice this code. And for example, we have this function fun1. So how many arguments are there? There are 3 arguments. So how many required argument is there? Everyone please try to give answer. How many required argument is there? Required argument is 1. Okay, which is a is what? Required argument. A is what? Required argument. What's the default argument? How many default argument is there? Okay, there are 1 default argument. What's the name? B. B is the default argument. B is 10. How many variable length argument? There is one variable length, where length argument is what? 1, which is asterisk c. Okay, so whenever you call this function, at least one argument you need to pass, because a is what type? First input is what type? Required type. Second is default. You can pass second input, or you can escape it. And the third input is what? Variable length parameter or argument. So you can pass the input, or you can not pass the input. It's up to you. Okay, so then we are printing the values, and we have another function. Which is function 2, and we have first argument is what type? First argument is required type, second is variable length, and third is default. Okay, see here we have another function. Which is function 3, and we are printing a and b. A is what type? A is variable length, and b is what? Required argument or required parameter, and we are printing here. Here we are calling function 1. Okay, function will receive this. A will receive what? 100, and b remains same, and c will not receive anything. Okay, same for 2. We are passing how many values? 2 values we are passing for function. Okay, for function 1 we are passing 2 values. So a value will receive 100, and b value will replace by 200. B value will replace by 200. 10 replaced by 200, and there is no value for c. And here we are passing multiple values. Okay, we are passing multiple values. So a will take what? A will take 100, and b will take 200, and rest of the value received by c. Okay, same here we are calling c, and here is the output. You can check and verify this output. You can write the code for this output. All right, everyone please try to practice this code. Okay, please try to understand this code and comment the code as well. All right, and be the part of this training journey. Be consistent here. Okay, in order to learn full stack Python development. All right, later we will do projects as well. All right. Once you clear all the theory and concept of programming, then only we can implement the projects. All right. So thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. Thank you all of you for giving your valuable time. And don't forget smile. Always keep a smile on your face. Okay. And practice the code. Practice makes you perfect. And without practice, you cannot be perfect in programming. You need practice and consistency. What you need? You need consistency, consistency, and what? Practice. Practice. Then you can solve any kind of problem. Because at the time of an interview, interviewer give you the problem. Interviewer give you the coding problem. And if you can solve the coding problem, means you are selected. If you cannot solve the coding problem, means you are not selected. So that's why I'm saying keep practice, everyone. Keep practice. All right. Thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. Bye everyone.